Julius Caesar, the assassination. Chapter 1, the event itself.
Detailed account of the assassination in the Senate.
The assassination of Julius Caesar in the Senate on March 15, 44 BCE, marked one of the most dramatic turning points in Roman history. This fateful day began with Caesar making his way to the Senate House, the Curia of Pompey, ignoring multiple warnings and omens. Notably, his wife Calpurnia, distressed by ominous dreams, had implored him to stay home. However, Caesar, swayed by Decimus Brutus, one of the conspirators, dismissed these concerns, showing his characteristic blend of confidence and fatalism. Upon entering the Senate, Caesar was surrounded by a group of senators, all part of the conspiracy led by Brutus, Cassius, and other disillusioned nobles. The conspirators had crafted a plan to kill Caesar during the Senate session, using the setting's formality and Caesar's expectation of safety to their advantage. The attack began when Tullius Cimber approached Caesar, ostensibly to present a petition on behalf of his exiled brother. When Caesar waved him away, Cimber grabbed his toga, pulling it down from his shoulders, a prearranged signal. The first blow came from Casca, who struck Caesar from behind. Initially, Caesar attempted to defend himself, but as more daggers found their mark, he realized the hopelessness of his situation. Amid the frenzy, Caesar is said to have uttered his famous last words, "Et tu, Brute?" And you, Brutus, expressing his shock and betrayal upon seeing Brutus, whom he considered a friend, among his attackers. Surrounded and outnumbered, Caesar succumbed to his wounds, collapsing at the base of Pompey's statue, which was later seen as a potent symbol of his tragic end and the conspiracy's ties to the former regime. The senators, drenched in blood, fled the scene in panic, leaving Caesar's lifeless body on the Senate floor. The aftermath of the assassination plunged Rome into chaos, sparking a series of civil wars that ultimately led to the rise of the Roman Empire under Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus.
Caesar's last moments and his famous last words.
The final moments of Julius Caesar have been immortalized in various historical accounts, each adding to the dramatic narrative of his assassination. As Caesar succumbed to the coordinated attack by the conspirators, the scene was one of chaos and brutality. Ancient sources offer differing perspectives on Caesar's demeanor and the exact sequence of events, but they converge on the sense of betrayal and the pivotal nature of his death. According to Suetonius, in his work The 12 Caesars, Caesar initially resisted his attackers, but soon realized the futility of his situation. Suetonius records that Caesar fell silent as he saw Brutus among the conspirators, covering his head with his toga in a final act of dignity. This gesture has been interpreted as Caesar's resignation to his fate, a moment of profound personal and political significance. Plutarch, in his Parallel Lives, provides a more detailed account, noting that Caesar initially tried to defend himself, but was overwhelmed by the sheer number of attackers. Plutarch famously records Caesar's last words as "Kai su teknon," "You too, child," addressed to Brutus. This phrase has been subject to much interpretation, with some scholars suggesting it reflects Caesar's sense of betrayal by someone he considered almost a son. However, the most famous rendition of Caesar's last words comes from William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, where the dramatist immortalizes the line as "Et tu, Brute," and "You, Brutus." While this version is likely a dramatization, it has captured the popular imagination and underscores the deep sense of personal betrayal that characterized the assassination. Nicholas of Damascus, a lesser-known but significant source, offers another perspective, emphasizing the surprise and rapid succession of the attack. He suggests that Caesar's last words were more a gasp of surprise than a coherent statement, further highlighting the chaotic and brutal nature of his death. These various accounts, while differing in details, collectively paint a picture of a leader who met his end surrounded by those he once trusted, in a moment that encapsulated the intense political strife of the time. Caesar's death did not just mark the end of his life, but also symbolized the end of an era and the tumultuous transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire.
Chapter 2, the immediate aftermath.
Reaction of the Senate and the Roman public.
The reaction to Julius Caesar's assassination was immediate and deeply divisive, both within the Senate and among the Roman public. Historical accounts provide varied perspectives on how different factions and individuals responded to the shocking event. In the Senate, the initial response was one of panic and confusion. According to Suetonius, many senators fled the scene in fear, unsure of whether the violence would spread or if more attacks were planned. The conspirators, led by Brutus and Cassius, attempted to present the assassination as a noble act aimed at restoring the Republic's freedoms. They proclaimed themselves liberators and expected to be hailed as heroes who had saved Rome from tyranny. However, the public reaction was far more complex and less favorable to the assassins than they had anticipated. Plutarch notes that the immediate aftermath saw a mix of fear, mourning, and anger among the populace. Caesar had been immensely popular with the lower classes, the soldiers, and many common citizens who benefited from his reforms and generosity. As news of his death spread, Rome was gripped by an atmosphere of uncertainty and unrest. Appian describes how the public's initial shock soon gave way to outrage. When Caesar's will was read, revealing generous bequests to the people of Rome, the mood turned decidedly against the conspirators. The will stipulated that every Roman citizen would receive a substantial sum of money and that his gardens along the Tiber would be made public parks. These gestures posthumously bolstered Caesar's image as a benevolent leader, further inflaming public sentiment against those who had killed him. The climax of public reaction came during Caesar's funeral, as detailed by Dio Cassius. Mark Antony, seizing the moment, delivered a powerful oration that swayed the masses. Antony's speech, which highlighted Caesar's accomplishments and his concern for the common people, incited a riot. The crowd, driven by grief and anger, sought out the assassins, forcing many to flee Rome to escape retribution. Historians like Livy emphasize the long-term impact of Caesar's assassination on Roman society. The event did not lead to the restoration of the Republic as the conspirators had hoped. Instead, it plunged Rome into a series of civil wars, ultimately paving the way for the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus. Caesar's death highlighted the deep divisions within Roman society and underscored the volatile nature of its politics. Nicholas of Damascus, writing from a slightly different perspective, also underscores the fear and chaos that gripped the city. He notes that many of Caesar's supporters, particularly his veteran soldiers, viewed the assassination as a direct attack on their own interests and status, further polarizing the city. In summary, the reaction to Caesar's assassination was a mix of immediate panic in the Senate, widespread grief and anger among the public, and long-term political upheaval. The varied responses reflected the complex social and political fabric of Rome at the time, illustrating how the death of one man could resonate through every level of society and change the course of history.
Power vacuum and immediate political chaos.
The assassination of Julius Caesar created a sudden and profound power vacuum in Rome, leading to immediate political chaos. The abrupt removal of such a central figure left Rome without a clear leader, and the Senate, already fragmented by internal divisions, struggled to regain control. Historians have documented the ensuing turmoil that characterized this critical juncture in Roman history. Suetonius, in his biography of Caesar, notes that the conspirators were unprepared for the aftermath of their act. Their plan to restore the Republic faltered as they failed to provide a cohesive alternative to Caesar's leadership. The Senate, lacking a strong and unifying presence, descended into factionalism, with various groups vying for influence and control. Plutarch describes how Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal supporter and consul at the time, quickly moved to consolidate power. Antony's actions, including seizing Caesar's papers and treasury, positioned him as a key figure in the unfolding power struggle. His initial attempts to broker peace between the Senate and Caesar's supporters were complicated by his own ambitions and the growing rivalry with other power players. According to Appian, the power vacuum also emboldened other ambitious individuals. Octavian, Caesar's grandnephew and adopted heir, emerged as a significant contender. Despite his youth and relative inexperience, Octavian's claim to Caesar's legacy provided him with considerable support, particularly among the legions loyal to Caesar. The political landscape became increasingly complex as Octavian, Antony, and other leaders like Lepidus formed shifting alliances. Dio Cassius offers a detailed account of the immediate political chaos that followed Caesar's death. He highlights the rapid disintegration of the conspirators' unity as personal ambitions and mutual distrust eroded their initial cooperation. Brutus and Cassius, key figures in the assassination, found themselves isolated and eventually forced to leave Rome, further destabilizing the situation. Nicholas of Damascus underscores the broader societal impact of the power vacuum. He notes that the sudden absence of Caesar's authority led to widespread uncertainty and disorder. Rome, already strained by economic and social issues, saw an increase in crime and unrest as various factions sought to capitalize on the instability. The urban populace, left without the guidance of a central figure, became increasingly volatile. Historians like Livy emphasize that the power vacuum created by Caesar's death was not merely a political crisis, but a profound societal upheaval. The Roman Republic, already weakened by years of internal conflict and power struggles, could not easily revert to its previous form of governance. The ensuing chaos highlighted the deep-seated issues within the Roman political system and set the stage for the eventual rise of the Roman Empire. In conclusion, the power vacuum and immediate political chaos following Julius Caesar's assassination were characterized by a lack of leadership, factional infighting, and societal instability. Historians provide a vivid portrayal of this turbulent period, illustrating how the removal of a central figure can precipitate widespread disorder and fundamentally alter the course of history. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great content like this. Hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload new videos so you never miss out. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more exciting videos.
The voices in this recording were created with the assistance of OpenAI.